every single company, every single person that's listening to this show is a media company. The original creators are business owners, entrepreneurs that have been doing it forever, pre-internet. The exponential rate at which the internet has changed things has made it really exciting if you're willing to adapt and change. So we opened up our restaurant in 2008, me and one of my best friends from college, and they tell you when you open up a restaurant, location, location, location. Well, I picked a shitty location, and I picked a shitty time. In the past, when I was a young entrepreneur, I always wanted to be the rabbit or the hare in the race. I wanted to be the unicorn, right out of the gates, fast, winning, lots of views, lots of sales, lots of whatever, abundance of everything. And what I've come to learn is that it's the tortoise. You know, I saw a quote recently, and it's stop praying for as fast as possible and start praying for as long as it takes.
Hey, Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you're an interesting guest for me because one of the first video podcasts I ever did was with you on your show in 2019. It was a fun experience on a golf course during the Farmers Open. We got to do a bunch of an influencer contest and a whole lot of fun content. And it was really the first time I had my eyes, I want to say not open, but first of all, I was truly exposed to what digital media could be on the fly, on the go, and not in a studio. So I know that's where you are now. We're going to talk a lot about that. But before we jump really down that step, take me back to the time that you knew that you wanted to be a media company, that you really wanted to transition into that world.
So I'm going to go back to 2008. So we opened up our restaurant in 2008, me and one of my best friends from college. And they tell you when you open up a restaurant, location, location, location. Well, I picked a shitty location, and I picked a shitty time. And we ended up doing barbecue on the West Coast, craft barbecue on the West Coast, which everyone that is in barbecue will tell you, you can't make great barbecue in San Diego. You can't make it in California. Yet, bad location, bad category, bad time. The thing that we did have going for us was that because it was so hard to do business, we leaned into the internet like most restaurant owners didn't. Mm-hmm. So a date that I talk a lot about is June 29th, 2007. That's the day the first iPhone came out. And the reason that's significant is because of the thesis that we talk about now. We have four different shows for our media company. And one thesis is on digital hospitality. Every business needs to be digital first, including brick and mortar business, especially brick and mortar businesses. And every business needs to be in the hospitality business. The other thesis is smartphone storytelling. Every single company, every single person that's listening to this show is a media company if you choose to harness the power of the internet. The problem is most people think social media is someone else's job. The bigger the company, the more important the person, the more successful the person has been. If you are not a creator, so we talk about a creator economy, right? When I say creator economy, people think YouTube star, TikTok star, Instagram star, somebody that's really good at making videos online and that's getting paid by brands to do so.
Yeah, they think influencer.
Correct. The original creators are business owners, entrepreneurs that have been doing it forever, pre-internet.
Yep.
Right now, we're living in 2023 where any business owner can become a creator if they choose to have the courage to look stupid and sound stupid. Most people aren't willing to do that because they want a commercial about their brand.
Yep.
We say, be the show, not the commercial.
It's a great line. I was guilty of that for years.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
It's very hard to give up brand control. You work so hard on your brand identity, and you don't want something on the internet to misrepresent who Jeff Fenster is, who Everbowl is, or where you're going. But what does the internet want?
Content.
My kids are 5 and 3. They watch YouTube. When they watch YouTube, they already know at the age of 3 what skip button is. They do not want their content interrupted. Yet, if my daughter or my son are watching a video of a kid unboxing dinosaurs and he picks up a certain brand of dinosaur, guess what he's going to do? He's going to come to dad and say, hey, dad, I need you to go buy this dinosaur.
Yeah, it's the modern version of what Michael Jordan did for Nike.
Exactly.
Without the commercial.
Exactly. So long-winded answer for your question is we believed in the internet like most restaurants didn't believe in the internet. We got to a point where we cared about our website, we cared about Yelp, we cared about Google, we cared about Facebook. And I say we cared about them, but we made a lot of mistakes. Like I gave my business partner shit for being on Facebook. I was like, what are you just trying to pick up girls in 2008? And then eventually I was like, oh my God, we can't pay payroll. We can't get this business. We're going to go out of business. I need to start using the internet to market our brand, to advertise our brand, to get people to come in and care about us. So we started adopting all of these things, Web 2.0, all these social media platforms, and started learning how to use them till we got to a point in 2017 where we started our first show. And our first podcast in 2017 was called Behind the Smoke. The idea of the show was to have conversations with other business owners to talk about the shit that they don't teach you in business school. Mm-hmm. They don't teach you about the failed partnerships, about the lawsuits, about all the stuff that can go wrong. They tell you about spreadsheets and profit and loss statements and a bunch of stuff that, yes, you need to know the basic fundamentals, but they don't tell you the lessons and the stories about the real shit it takes to be an entrepreneur and to be a business owner.
Being a business owner is hard.
It's hard.
It's hard AF.
Hard AF is right. Yeah.
So when you opened your first restaurant, 2008.
Yep.
Little birdie told me you started with breakfast.
Yes, we did.
Tell me that evolution. So you started a business thinking your restaurant, it was going to be breakfast.
So we took over a breakfast concept. We added a full liquor license, type 47 license, and we added dinner service.
Okay.
Our plan was to be in a part of San Diego, Spring Valley, that was underserved. There were so many incredible people that lived in the area, but there weren't a lot of restaurant options. There weren't a lot of sports bar options. There weren't a lot of options where you could take mom and dad, grandma, or the kids to have a good meal. That was our big, bold idea. And now looking back in 15 years, in April, we're going to be celebrating our 15-year anniversary. We are a barbecue brand and a media brand, but we look nothing like the restaurant, the breakfast restaurant that we started with. We were California Comfort Restaurant and Sports Bar.
California Comfort Restaurant.
We're literally down to Cali BBQ. We got rid of everything else, and that was all marketing and branding and evolution and understanding. We can't, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Sure, and I'm sure that even the lessons that you learned along the way, which may have been classified as failures in some eyes, how many times did you almost close your doors?
That's a great question. I don't think we never got to the point because I don't believe in failure. My son, it's amazing that I have a son and a daughter, and it's the greatest gift ever is being a parent. But what I taught him and what I teach my daughter is the Batman philosophy. Why do we fall?
So we can learn how to get back up.
That's right, Bruce. Why do we fall? There was never a chance that I was going to go out of business. And that's pretty much why we went from a breakfast business to a dinner business, to a sports bar business, to a barbecue business, to an event business, to now a media business, to now leveraging technology to get more barbecue to more people. Because for us, we just want to be in the game. The game changes. Amazon started selling books.
Mm-hmm.
What are they now? They're a completely different business. Netflix sent CDs in the mail. Like,
right.
If your business isn't evolving, you're dying. And the exponential rate at which the internet has changed things has made it really exciting if you're willing to adapt and change.
And this is why I love doing this and why I'm so excited I'm finally on this side of the table, because I believe success is formulaic. It's part of the thesis of the show. It's what we're trying to get. And if we can inspire other people to understand the formula, and what you just articulated right there is clearly one of those pieces, right? Because if I'm correct, you wanted to go to law school.
I did. I got rejected by all 3 law schools.
You got rejected by all 3 law schools.
Hanging rejection letters in my office.
Yeah.
Proudly framed. Yes.
You started a breakfast restaurant and a sports bar that ended up as a barbecue joint.
Yes.
And as you said, why do we fall? So we can learn how to get back up. And part of success for you has been, to your point, you're never going to quit.
Never.
You're going to find a way, and you will keep adapting. And I think what I've learned, and it sounds like you're in the same position, and I want your thoughts on it, is where a lot of people hear the word, oh, I failed, they just actually found a way that didn't work.
Yes.
And through the laws of reduction and reducing all of the ways that you have so many options. Every time we find a way that doesn't work, it just shrinks the number of choices we have till we find what does work. What other theme has been the foundation of your success early on that you now are able to look back on? So not quitting is one of them, but what's another one?
So we build our media like we build our barbecue, and that's low and slow. And what I've realized is in the past, when I was a young entrepreneur, I always wanted to be the rabbit or the hare in the race. I wanted to be the unicorn right out of the gates, fast, winning, lots of views, lots of sales, lots of whatever, abundance of everything. And what I've come to learn is that it's the tortoise. You know, I saw a quote recently, and it's stop praying for as fast as possible and start praying for as long as it takes.
Oh, God, that hit me. I am guilty of as fast as possible, but
Right?
say that again.
Stop praying for as fast as possible and start praying for as long as it takes.
I love that. You know who said that?
It was actually, I'm in recovery, so it was in a recovery meeting, so I'm not going to disclose who said
Fair.
it, but so powerful from one meeting. And, you know, that's the thing that I love, why I love podcasting is when I'm fortunate to be a guest, when I'm fortunate to be a host, so many of the lessons that I learn, be the show, not the commercial, lean into your crazy. Things that I say were nuggets of information that have become distilled that not only do I hear myself repeating them back on other shows, but when I go and I speak, I'm telling them to audiences because it resonated so deep with me that I have to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm lucky enough that it hits with the audience, then they go out and share it as well.
So you have this restaurant. It's 2012-ish when you finally lean heavy into barbecue.
Yep.
Now we're no longer a sports bar. We're no longer a breakfast joint.
Well, we were a sports bar. We're still technically a sports
But
bar.
it's not where you were leaning into.
Correct. Yes.
You have sports on TVs,
Correct.
but you're not known as a sports bar.
Correct.
It's 2012. So we're just past the Great Recession.
Yep.
You focused on the internet. You started to lean heavy into the internet,
Yes.
into becoming a digital media company. What was the next phase?
Well, the next phase was probably the events phase. So we really started focusing. It's funny. So in the beginning, 2008 to 2012, we had no fucking clue what we were doing. We were just trying to do whatever we could to keep the doors open. Once we finally built a profitable restaurant, I thought that if we had incredible barbecue, if we had incredible hospitality, if we took care of the community, if we took care of our team, people would come and tell our story. TV stations would care, magazines would care, newspapers would care, and that would lead to more sales, the ability to open up more restaurants. I started reading books about public relations, press releases, sent out press releases for our 5th year anniversary. Nobody gave a shit. No one's coming. At that point, I realized I have everything that I need to tell our own story. We're just doing a really bad job of doing it.
Okay.
So we started focusing on audio, video, words, and images. And really the video didn't come until really 2019, because we started an audio podcast in 2017. And then it was probably 40 episodes in when Kyle Whistle of Whistle Realty came in and he's like, you mind if we put this video on YouTube? I'm like, sure, go ahead, put some cameras here. We're already doing the podcast. And I was like, why are we not doing video? Every single podcaster out there that's doing audio only is missing the boat, because we can't discriminate how people find our content. You know, and we were guilty of that. You know, for 13 years, I thought that if I built a great brand, no matter where you were in San Diego, you would find out about our barbecue, and you would drive, 3.3 million people would drive to Spring Valley to come enjoy our barbecue. Well, some people are never going to come have our barbecue in Spring Valley.
Sure.
So now we're building micro locations, 200 square feet ghost kitchen, stadium locations to get more barbecue to more people. We believe the same thing with the media. Just because someone loves to listen to a podcast doesn't mean that that same person or somebody in their circle also loves podcasts or has the time to drive in their car and listen to a podcast or work out and listen to a podcast. Maybe that person enjoys smaller clips on Instagram. The amount of people that I know that I podcast, that have watched my show, Restaurant Influencers or Digital Hospitality, but have never subscribed to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it's significant. But it's all because of awareness. It's because I can't discriminate how people are getting the content. As long as it's audio, video, words, and images, you have to remove the logo. As humans, we become and I'm guilty of this too. When I say Facebook, immediately you think something.
Mm-hmm.
The audience thinks something. If I say Twitter, Elon Musk, I don't like that platform. It's not fun. If I say TikTok, oh, that's for kids. That's for dancing. All it is just internet storytelling. And if you have a message, which anybody that's listening to this show, you wouldn't be listening to this show if you didn't have something to say. People that listen to podcasts, people that watch podcasts, it's a different type of person. These are people that are playing the game within the game. They want to level up.
Yep. They're
waiting for the courage to get behind the microphone or get in front of the camera or get in front of the smartphone. You don't need permission to do it. You just need to do it and know that it's going to be bad.
So take immediate, decisive action.
Immediate, decisive action. The answer to the internet, I'll give it to you.
Please.
Quantity plus speed plus consistency equals quality.
Quantity plus speed plus consistency
equals quality.
Equals quality.
And the problem that we all have, myself included, is that when we publish online, we want quality first.
Yes. We do want quality first. And you can't have it.
It doesn't happen. You're not allowed to have it. Until you get through the quantity, until you get through the speed, until you get to the consistency.
That's very profound, especially for someone like myself who has been working tirelessly now on the personal brand side. That's phenomenal advice.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here.
Yep.
Teach me.
Teach
I need help. I want to get started. I might have some bad videos. I might have some anxiety around the mic. I'm sitting at home. I'm listening to this, and I'm listening to you, and I'm like, okay, I need to focus on video, pictures.
Video, audio, pictures, and images.
Video, audio, pictures, and images.
You know what's a beautiful thing? Is that video gives you pictures, and it gives you audio. And you can transcribe it to get words.
And we all have a smartphone.
And we all have a media machine in our pocket.
So what do you tell me to do tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, today, right now.
Okay, today, right now.
Right now is to take your smartphone out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And this is another amazing thing, is that you don't even need to download an app. The most powerful app that every single person has on their smartphone. Do you know what it is?
Camera?
That's correct.
So what do I do with it?
It's already installed.
Turn it on.
You turn it on in selfie mode.
Okay.
And you share a story of who you are.
That's it.
Who are you? What do you do? In less than 60 seconds.
Your elevator speech.
Everyone needs an elevator pitch.
Yep.
And nobody practices their elevator pitch. The more that you practice your elevator pitch, the more that you practice being a speaker, distilling the stories that matter. No one wants to be preached to. We've all been in classes. We've all had coaches. Who are the coaches and the teachers that we remember? Not teachers that talk down to us.
Yeah.
Teachers that told us a story.
Mm-hmm.
Bring us into the story. Think of the stories of when you were fighting for Everbull, when you were living at your mom's house. Tell us that story. Bring us back to the mission. I had Chris Doe, who's an incredible personal brand, creative person.
I love Chris. I got to meet him. We spoke on the same stage.
He's coming on the show for sure. You need to have him. He's phenomenal.
All right, Chris, you heard that?
Chris Doe, the future. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. But
he wowed me.
Isn't he incredible?
It's rare. I mean, it's not rare. That's not fair. It's not as often as I'd like when I'm speaking on a stage and I'm there either earlier or before mine or after, and I'm staying and I get to hear the other speakers, that I was so fortunate that I got to be at the event to hear this guy speak or this girl speak, and Chris was one of them.
And what he says is that he's an introvert, yet he realized that once he got in front of the camera, he could make a bigger impact with his personal brand once he was willing to make that commitment. And he didn't do that until he was later on in his career. And what he's built with the future has only been growing exponentially because he's been willing to teach, to talk about the lessons, to talk about the stories. And whoever's watching this, whoever's listening to this, your story matters. And nobody's coming to tell your story.
So what's your mission? What's your mission truly behind inspiring masses to create content?
To be honest with you, I helped my grandfather at the end of his life. It was the greatest thing that I've ever done and will do, was that he wanted to write his own autobiography, so his memoir. And I helped him. I went to conferences with him, writers' conferences. We hired a ghostwriter. We got the book self-published. We got the book translated into Bulgarian. And that book, his life, I was able to travel through Europe, going to all the places that meant something to him. But he worked so hard to share that story, not with the masses, but that was going to the libraries in Bulgaria, in the villages, because it was in those books, in those villages, that he read stories about people that got out, entrepreneurs, business owners, doctors, incredible people that did incredible things. And he was able to share that story. So now in his village in Bulgaria, my grandfather's book is there.
That's incredible.
But for me, what was the most impactful thing is not that my kids can read that, because I will read that to my children. It's that every single person on earth, we all take stories for granted every single day. And stories of our loved ones, our grandparents, our parents. We go to Thanksgiving, we go to Christmas, we hear the same story and we roll our eyes. Dad's told this story 100 times. I've heard it. Not this story again. Instead of taking the story for granted, what if you acted like a podcaster? You acted like a journalist. You acted like an attorney deposing your dad and asked better questions about the events surrounding the story. What if you did research about what was happening in the world, this story that he keeps telling me? And what if you documented it? I guarantee you that piece of content, that video, will be something that will be the most important thing out of all the bullshit that we keep, that we think is valuable. The words that my grandfather wrote in that book, those are the things that move me.
I mean, totally. I mean, those are the things that I think move everybody. When you can connect emotion behind a story. We were talking about it earlier, about the views. So help me, being the expert. I struggle, and I'm sure a lot of people do, with we start doing something. How do we quantify that we're doing it right? So when I look at pushing my own content out, there's the easy objective numbers: views, downloads, listens, likes, shares, saves. Those are the easy stuff.
Yep.
Hard to justify or to yourself if you're doing good or not based on that. But what about, are you getting the right message out? Or what about, is what I'm saying resonating with people? How do you, or what would you say to me, or how do you recommend we look at the early stage of content creation and publication when we are focusing on those four things? What would you recommend that we do? How should we be considering success so we can give ourselves that self-confidence to know we're moving in the right direction? We're moving up the hill.
Goes back to the formula. It's quantity, speed, consistency will eventually equal quality.
So as long as we're publishing.
As long as you're publishing and you're looking at other publishers of what are they doing and how can I continue to be better? Because it has to be your own style. You know, the truth vibrates the fastest. And all that matters is the consistent, persistent pursuit of the truth, which is a David Meltzerism. But the reason why that resonates so much with me is that it doesn't matter. As long as I'm sitting here 15 years from having started Cali Barbecue, to be at Unevolved Studios, to see this incredible multiple businesses that you've built, to be on this show, if I went back and measured what was I doing in 2008 and 2009 and 2010 to get to here, to be honest, I don't know if I would continue to do it. But what I do know is that every single day for me is day one. And if it's day one, Nunc Copi, which Philip Rivers played for the Chargers, had a saying, it was Nunc Copi, which is just Latin for now I begin. Every day, now I begin.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what I accomplished yesterday. Doesn't matter how many people listened to our show. Doesn't matter how many pieces of brisket we sold. All that matters is I got a chance today to try again, to be a little bit better, to ask better questions on the podcast, to be more engaged with my children, to be a better husband. every single day I have that opportunity. And when it comes to content, I know that if I treat content the same way that I treat life, I'm always living. I'm always publishing. I mean, I make a joke when I'm fortunate to get interviewed for a magazine or publication, a podcast, they go, "We're recording this. Is that okay?" And I say, "I'll be upset if you're not recording. Is it even worth doing if it's not being recorded?" And I make that joke because if you're living your life and you're documenting what you truly believe in, what you truly love, then maybe it has the opportunity to impact one person.
Yep.
And the more that you post different pieces of content, you have no idea what will resonate with the people that are following, nor do you know who is following you. Until I started showing up and speaking at hospitality conferences, I would go to the trade floor and people would stop me and go, "Hey, Shawn, I love your videos." I have no idea who the person is. "I've been watching you on LinkedIn." Like, I had no idea I was connected to you. Whatever, this video made this impact on me. You have no idea who's watching you. You have no idea which piece of content is going to resonate. And until you keep doing it, you'll never know. But what I can tell you is that if you're willing to start today, in 1 year, and you've done that day after day after day after day, that compounding interest, you'll look back and realize how much farther ahead you are from everybody else. Because it's easy. We talked about this before the show started. It's easy to go on the internet and say there's content everywhere. Everybody's posting everything. I'm so far behind. You think you're behind.
For sure.
I know you're not behind. I know for a fact. I literally live in this world. I try to study the top people playing the game within the game. There are so few humans on Earth, 8 billion humans, even less business owners, even less entrepreneurs, even less successful entrepreneurs, even less ones that are willing to do the work that you're willing to do to make the investment that you're willing to make, or anyone that's listening to this show. We have incredible opportunity. We have everything we need. You don't need permission. You don't need to go and create Apple. You don't need to create an iPhone. You don't need to create TikTok. You don't need to create, they're there. They're literally free.
Yep.
You just need to have the courage to get out of your own way and say, what I have to say matters. And I might stumble and I might stutter and I might not look the way that I want to look. But if I do it today, I'll be better tomorrow.
That's 100% true. Okay, so do you have defined core values?
Defined core values?
Yes, like is that something to you meaningful? Like, do you have already known defined core values? Is that part of your daily life? How many do you have?
3.
What are they?
Stay curious, get involved, ask for help.
And those 3 things have served you pretty well?
Very well.
The reason I ask you that is because I go through this diatribe with a lot of people. I'm very big on core values. I'm very big on success formulas. I think that is the easiest answer. I always say on stage, I'm an ordinary guy who figures out what extra stuff to do to have extraordinary results. It's easy for me to think through it that way, because a lot of people get intimidated outside of content. This is just in business, in life, that I don't have the capabilities, the skills, the know-how, the resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to achieve, do, or accomplish whatever I'm trying, so they do nothing. So one of my core values is take immediate decisive action, which you mentioned through your own talk. And that's really the spirit behind this show. And I told you that at the beginning of the episode. For us, it's all about helping inspire people and give them not only the tactics and tips to what they need to do in a respective field. So we're talking about media and being a content company, but also what they need to do every day without fail that they can lean on when they don't know where to go, when they don't know what to do. And in your case, curious.
Get involved.
Ask for help. So by being curious, how did that get you from restaurant and media company to now, you're a podcast host, you are now working with other brands.
Yep.
How did your curiosity, what triggered that whole evolution from, I'm a restaurateur, which there's millions of them.
Yep.
I'm now a podcast host. There's thousands of them.
Yep.
To now being a brand ambassador, if you will, and a creator of content for others. There was something in your curiosity trail that's taken you there, and I'm curious what that was. And as a follow-up second question, do you still consider yourself a restaurateur?
Curiosity is something that I know is what gives me energy. And if I had to do something where I wasn't allowed to tap into my curiosity, I would rather die. And I had opportunities throughout my business career to get into other partnerships, business partnerships. And as I went down those business partnership paths, they wanted me to be somebody that I wasn't. For me, I have to be who I am. And who I am is somebody that's evolving every single day, that has the ability to say, we're a barbecue media company, and I don't give a shit how many people laugh at me and think it's stupid, because I know that if I keep pursuing what I know to be true about the internet, what I know to be true about storytelling, what I know to be true about human nature, that we will be in a position in 2023 to do some really incredible stuff, because it doesn't only matter to me, the little restaurant owner on Troy Street. It matters to a Fortune 500 company. It matters to every single business on earth. What we call digital hospitality, what we call smartphone storytelling, we try to make it as simple as possible so that people can make real change in their business. And we also have empathy for people that are listening, that understand that when I go and I speak and I talk to 200 people, they all nod their heads in agreement. Oh, I agree with you, Shawn. Yes, I believe in the internet. I make them all take out their phone and make a video, switch phones so that they have no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them do you think are going to post that video on their preferred digital playground?
5%.
Correct. And it goes back to the stay curious, get involved, ask for help. You know, one of the things when I was traveling with my grandfather to write his book, I remember I was young. I was 23 years old, and we were traveling in incredible places, Paris and Germany, and wherever we went, it was so important to him to learn, to grab pamphlets of wherever we went, to get on tours, to be in the front next to the tour guide, asking questions, to the point where I was almost embarrassed of my grandfather for holding up the tour. He wasn't asking those questions for him. He was asking them for me. He was willing to get involved.
Yep.
The people that are willing to get involved, to raise their hand, to sit in front of the class, to DM Jeff, to DM me from the show, to ask for help, to be vulnerable, to say you don't have the answers. Maybe you don't have the answer, but I guarantee you know somebody in your phone that does.
True.
And you want to be resourceful. I want to be resourceful. We want to create content that when we're sleeping, somebody might find a video on TikTok, on YouTube, in a podcast that literally will change their life. Because I've found that piece of content for myself. And that curiosity has forced me to go, hey, this sounds right. What do I need to do to get involved? And then finally, who can I ask for help?
So, second part of the question is, do you still consider yourself a restaurateur?
Yes.
What is
I believe that every business is in the hospitality business. Truly, the greatest gift that we have as restaurateurs is that we inherently understand what a magical moment is. In real life, we have the ability to turn a stranger into a friend. And we do that through food, and we do that through beverage. The problem that I have with customer service is the lowest standard. It's literally treating someone like a human. Hospitality is being empathetic, listening to somebody, anticipating someone's needs, welcoming them into your business, learning what they like, what they don't like, and then giving them above and beyond so that they have no choice but to go and tell other people in real life and online about those magical moments that you just made.
I mean, it's true, because when you think about it, music and food are the two things that we as humans connect with at every life event,
Yes.
from birth to death and everything in between. There's true emotion behind food and music.
Yes.
And obviously, we're both playing in the food side of that space. But as a restaurateur, knowing that that all elements of hospitality, what do you envision the future of your restaurant being?
The future of the restaurant is the future of storytelling. It's truly understanding that no matter where I go on earth and the content that we create, it's so much bigger than barbecue. I mean, that's why we care so much about media. That's why we care so much about podcasts, is that we know It has nothing to do with the millions of views that we get on Entrepreneur with restaurant influencers. What it has to do with is one person somewhere on earth that we changed their life. That they understand that their coffee shop, their acai business, their barbecue restaurant, their burger business, or even their law office, their insurance business, whatever business they're in, they're thinking too small. In 2023, we have to think bigger. What we do every single day matters. But we have to be willing to share that story.
But how, right? So restaurant owners out there, they're hearing this. They're saying, look, I need to use digital media to grow my business. I need to be a content creator. There's a big step and gap between understanding and accepting that I need to and the how.
Yep.
And even someone like myself who normally doesn't have issue taking immediate decisive action, I spent months, if not years, stuck in the how.
Yes.
I knew I needed to do it. I wanted to do it. I have the resources to do it. I don't have the playbook to do it. I'm not sure what to do. How would you help me?
Pick your favorite digital playground. So everyone that's listening to the show, we have a preferred digital playground, the place that we go. Is that Instagram? Is that LinkedIn? Is that Facebook? Is it Twitter? Whatever your favorite digital playground is, and make a commitment. For 100 days, you're going to post 100 pieces of content. I prefer them to be video. I prefer them to be stories, 100 different stories, short form video under 60 seconds, but publish that content. And after 100 days in a row, now look at the data. Now look, what did I like? Who cares about how many people I saw? Which ones did I like? Which stories were good? You know, it's crazy to me to think about, I love comedians in cars getting coffee, because Jerry Seinfeld goes and he interviews the best comedians that he admires and talks about the craft of writing jokes. Well, once somebody finally gets to a stadium or they finally get to their Netflix special, how many times have they told that story?
A ton.
As humans and as entrepreneurs and leaders, we have this crazy idea in our head that we shouldn't tell the same story over and over. It's our job to tell a better version of that story, to get better at the stories that are the most impactful. So back to mom and dad and grandpa and grandma at Thanksgiving and Christmas, our job is to help them make that story better. Our job as leaders and content creators with this 100-day challenge is to go through those 100 pieces and figure out which ones did I like, which ones did my wife like, which ones did my daughters like, which ones did the people that I work with like, which ones resonated. Okay, if it resonated, how can I go deeper?
Yep.
Now in the next 100 days after that, let's work on those pieces of content and really build out that story.
What I love about your 100-day challenge is it's the definition of win stacking, which is one of my success formula principles. And it's also Kaizen, which is to get 1% better every day. And I give this analogy on stage all the time. I say, listen, if the way to best think about it is if you're sitting on the couch today and you want to get in shape, just put on your gym clothes today and watch Netflix. And tomorrow, put on your gym clothes and walk or run to a mailbox.
Yep.
And then the next day, put on your gym clothes and walk or run to one more mailbox. And if you do that every day, eventually you're in shape and you've been running miles and miles, if not a marathon. Break that same model down for me, because I'm going to take you up. I'm going to do the 100-day challenge.
Yes.
I'm listening to this.
It's fantastic. What's your digital playground?
Instagram is my favorite.
Okay.
So I've been doing it every day since January 1st.
Instagram reel every day.
A post every day.
A reel?
Mostly reels. Sometimes it's still, but mostly reels.
Okay.
And for the listeners, they're going to take us up on this challenge. Everyone listening, we're going to spend the next 100 days. We're going to post in our preferred digital playground.
Yes.
What do I post?
What do you post?
Not me, Jeff, for the group. How do I think through that? What do I post? So that's where we get choked.
Be the show, not the commercial. The problem with content creation, so the way that we think about content is it's 4 Ps. Plan, produce, publish, promote. Plan, produce, publish, promote. And it's a cycle. Everybody's problem, ourselves included, so we're really good at planning, really good at thinking about what I should post. Producing is something different. You actually have to produce it. And when we get to the producing stage, what happens to all of us?
We stop.
We stop, or we stumble over our words, we stutter, We don't like how it looks. We get frustrated and we move on. The magic happens when you publish. That's where the failure happens. The problem is we're not willing to get to the failure. That's me telling my son, why do we fall?
Yep.
We fall so we learn how to get back up. But once you publish, now you can get to the promote stage, which is the engagement stage. You don't post and ghost. You actually post and engage. When one person sees your posts, say, Jeff, thank you for that post. You don't just like it. You go, what resonated? You ask them a question in the comments. Now you've actually started a conversation. Starting a conversation will lead to community.
It's really true you said that, because just this week, for the first time, after months of actually posting every single day, I did a post and I asked the community, what kind of content would you like me to do more of? Because I want this to be more about not just for me, but for everybody. And I didn't expect any answers. Like when we did that, I honestly sat there for a second. I was like, I'm going to post this.
Is this thing on?
Yeah. No one's going to respond to this. But then something happened. And I looked at the responses, and there was actual responses.
Yes.
And
Real
it was
humans.
actually insightful humans suggesting things that they want me to post more about.
Yes.
And it's awesome because it gave me a roadmap for the next 100 days.
Yes.
When I wasn't sure if it was resonating or if it was just vanity or if I was just speaking into the cosmos. And yeah, we all have friends and they're going to hit like and thumbs up emoji, and that's cool and it's rewarding and it's filling, but is it real?
Yes.
And then I got a few people who wrote me personal DMs with like 7, 8 concepts that they want to know about from things that we're working on at Everbull, at Unevolved Studios, at WeBuild, even things personally that I'm doing.
Yes.
And it was, not only did it recharge my battery for the next 100 days, it actually finally gave me the roadmap of what I need to produce more of. And I had no idea until I did it.
You don't know who's watching. And what I tell business leaders all the time is that you're already phenomenal. You literally couldn't be who you are if you weren't phenomenal at what you did. You're just not publishing what you do on the internet. When you think about publishing on the internet, you think about building a studio and having a script and having graphics and publishing on all the platforms. Stop. Take out your phone when you're already doing what you do. If you make sales calls, if you run a restaurant, show people the things that you do not think anyone else cares about. When we're going through Instagram, when we're going through TikTok, what makes you stop?
Something that emotionally connect with.
Something that's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's posting the same stuff. When I tell restaurant owners that I make a video for Toast, our primary technology partner, of me and my general manager unboxing our hardware like we're a couple of kids, our restaurant hardware, why did I make that video? It wasn't to sell more barbecue. I made that video for the restaurant owner that's been on Aloha just like we were, that was thinking, where can I move my business to the next stage? How do I invest in technology? Why should I choose Toast over Aloha? That's who that video is for. It has nothing to do with me selling more barbecue. Guess who also loves the video? Every single person that worked on the software at Toast, that worked on the hardware at Toast, that worked on the packaging, that worked on the sales, that worked on the contracts. All of those people got to see their work in me, a business owner, creating a business owner user-generated content. We all spend money every single day to run our businesses. Every single business that you do business with, guess what? They also need social media.
Yep.
I guarantee you,
content.
the video that you make will be better than anything that they're posting on any of their platforms.
And that's a serious thing, because we have marketing. Most big brands have marketing departments, and
Yes.
they spend a lot of money to make these very polished commercials
Yes.
that don't resonate the same as the user-generated, off-the-cuff, doesn't look professionally done content.
Correct. Because it's raw. It's real.
It's raw, it's real, and it doesn't feel like a commercial.
Yes.
And that's a hard chasm to cross mentally. Like, it really is.
It is. It's very hard. But it's the greatest gift if you're able to do it, if you're willing to do it, and if you figure out ways to have conversations in your organization so that the marketing team and the social media team or the social media agency doesn't feel like they're responsible for everything. You, the entrepreneur, the business owner, you're responsible. Jeff's made it a priority in his business. But you have to make it a priority that internet storytelling, that your brand being raw, real, showing all the things, just like you said, those DMs that you got, people know about your business and they want to know even more.
Yeah.
Because it's fascinating. Nobody's doing it. If you have the courage to be vulnerable, to be open, to build in public, most brands don't build in public. 99% of the brands don't build in public.
Well, there's danger to building in public, or
Sure.
there's a perception of danger for building in public, both liability, competitor research,
Correct.
looking like an idiot until it's finished.
Correct.
All of those things.
But once you have the courage to do what you know only you can do and nobody else can do, you realize that a rising tide lifts all ships. Even if the competitor sees your blueprint for success, how did Cali Barbecue become Cali Barbecue Media? How did I get brand deals? I tell everybody because I know no one's willing to do the work.
Well, and you say that, and I had a pivotal change in it must have been 2019, 2020. I was afraid of competitors in certain elements. And then I heard Elon Musk speak, and somebody interviewed Elon Musk about electric cars, and they said, Elon, one day all the big brands are going to start producing electric cars. And he said, good, I'm not competing with them. I'm competing with gas-powered automobiles. And it was really one of those moments where you have to take a second and realize, holy shit, he's right.
He's playing a different game.
And then we looked at our business model and realized I'm not competing with other acai bowl and superfood companies. I'm competing with the fast and the fried.
Yes.
If you're a fast food chain serving fried lard and junk to people, that's who we're competing with. And if you end up going to one of our competitors instead of us, good.
Yes.
So long as it's eating superfoods.
Correct.
Because a rising tide lifts all ships. And you know what will happen? You may like Everbull second, which I prefer you like us first. But if you like us second and you like our competitor first, there will come a day where you don't have access to that competitor and there's an Everbull around, and guess what? You're my customer for the day. And I've earned the opportunity to win your business today.
Correct.
But if you're eating fast and fried and feeling like shit and not eating superfoods, I don't even have the opportunity to play in your sandbox.
That's correct.
And it was really a game changer for me, that quote, that saying. And it makes everyone listening to this start to maybe put more impetus behind building in public and not being afraid of empowering and enabling and educating your competition, because who you think your competition is usually not accurate.
Well, it's not only that, but you're a relationship capital guy. When you build in public and you realize there's 8 billion people on Earth, 5 billion people with access to the internet, all of a sudden your truth will start to resonate with leaders in all different parts of the world.
That's right.
That are working on different parts of the same problem. And when you start to collaborate together, you can start to do some really cool stuff.
And we just saw this actually in the banking sector after the collapse of SVB.
Yes.
There was another regional bank, and there was a bank run, and all the big banks just put $30 billion into their bank account, or into their bank, to show support for another bank, because a run on banks is bad for all banks. So your competitors are necessary, because my competitors, or my air quote, who people perceive to be my competitors, other superfood brands, they're actually on a similar mission to me, to educate and empower more people to have access to superfoods and be the best version of themselves. I don't have to pay for that marketing. They're doing it.
That's correct.
The more people who want to eat superfoods expands my opportunity. Then it's up to us to be a little better than them once we get there.
It helps you sharpen the saw, though.
It does. It does. Without a true competitor, you can never be the best version of yourself anyway.
Correct.
That's fascinating. So what metric do you personally pay attention to when you're doing your content, being so much further along on your journey, understanding the need, understanding the focus that you're putting on your big four of what you're doing every day? What metrics do you look at now that you're this far along and you don't have any problem posting? You don't have any problem with consistency. You don't have any problem with the engagement and the production and the planning. What are the metrics that you look at to say, how do I get better?
Digital receipts.
Digital receipts. What does that mean?
Proof of conversion. When somebody sends me a DM on TikTok and say, Shawn, I saw your video about ghost kitchens. I want to learn more. When somebody sends me a LinkedIn DM and says, I saw your toast video. When somebody says, I listened to your podcast and you were talking to this person about this thing. I want to learn more. That relationship of once that person reaches out and has the courage to reach out, and that relationship that goes from just a digital connection to a digital friendship to an in-person friendship. When I started the podcast, back to podcasting to an internet audience, people laughed and they go, why are you doing this podcast? No one's going to come to your barbecue restaurant because of your podcast. Like, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to get more people to come buy more barbecue. But now, because I've been doing it, because I've been giving as much as possible, getting the people that I care the most about. For me, the show is all about chasing my curiosity. If somebody is on my radar and I want to learn from them, I'm going to invite them on my show, and I'm going to ask them as many questions as I can to find out what makes them who they are, and how can not only me selfishly learn, but then everybody who listens learn. And when I bring them on, now I've created this community of people that literally, when they come to San Diego, where do you think the first place they come is?
Cali Barbecue. To
come and do a selfie video with me on the roof. Yeah. To come do something ridiculous.
Hopefully second place is Everbull.
Hopefully the second place, Unevolved Studios. But that's what you're building here. Like, by building this content studio, by producing this show, you're connecting with a global audience that understands that your message matters, and your message matters because you care about their message.
I mean, I love your core value of curiosity. It's the fuel behind it all.
Yeah.
Because, as I'm building this show out and being on this side of the table for the first time, as more of a host as opposed to a guest, it really is I get the opportunity, and I didn't, until you just said that, I didn't think about it this way, but I get the opportunity to just be totally curious, a sponge, and I get to have a one-on-one talk with experts. And I was thinking about it in the eyes of my audience, and I need to be thinking about it in the eyes of myself, and my audience will want the same thing.
They'll want the same thing. Literally, the more that you chase your curiosity, the better the show will be. And that goes for people that you know deeply.
Yeah.
So when you have Drew Brees on and you have a business relationship with him, because of this show, because he's a guest, you're going to treat it differently. And you're going to do internet research on Drew. You're going to talk to Drew's friends in ways that you've never done because you're doing it for the show. And you're going to learn things that you've never learned. And how many pieces of media has Drew done? Millions of huge media pieces. And your goal is to make sure you don't ask the same question.
Mm-hmm.
The same question gets the same answer. Yep. My goal coming up here when I had you on my show was to make sure that I'm not asking Jeff the same questions that he said on all these other incredible podcasts that I've listened to.
Which, as a guest of shows, I appreciate, because I get bored when I answer the same thing I've answered in 150 other podcasts. And I'm like, just go listen to any other show.
Listen to literally any other piece of content that I put there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I genuinely get bored. And I get into this autopilot mode.
Yes.
Where I just get into my canned answer.
Canned answer. Canned question, canned answer.
And that's the challenge. But
that's the exciting part.
Of course. The challenge is always the exciting part.
When you find mentors or people that you love their content, like when I listen to Tim Ferriss and he interviews Arnold Schwarzenegger, and literally his goal is to go through every single piece of any kind of content this person has ever done, every movie, every book, every article, and find nuggets of information that not only he selfishly can learn from, but guess who gets to benefit? It's the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people that listen to his show, which is why his show is so good.
Yeah. It's true.
That's an iPhone. It's an unprofessional podcasting move.
What is your digital media what is your digital media playground preference?
Digital media playground preference?
Well, isn't that what we called it?
Yes, digital playground preference.
Yes, let me say it again. What is your digital playground preference?
Probably would be Instagram.
Why?
I spend the most amount of time basically vlogging through Instagram stories. So if you go to Shawn Walchef, it's just been my preferred playground. I still post content on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter. But as far as what I'm doing on a daily basis, Instagram stories really is where I spend the most time just getting better at using video, getting better at posting on the platform. So much of what I talk about is smartphone storytelling. And that's understanding. I do have a media team. I mean, we're very fortunate now that, 6 years into this journey, I have an incredible team, producer, writer, social media manager, video team. But I don't want to say that when I go on shows because it discourages people from doing what's the most important thing. And the most important thing is taking the smartphone out of their pocket. Android, iPhone, Google phone, none of it matters. You have a camera app. Take the camera app, make a video, post it. Don't overthink it. Do the same thing tomorrow.
Do you post the same things if you make some content for Instagram, are you posting the same thing on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter?
Sometimes. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm not. I'm always testing the platform. I'm always seeing what other creators I like are doing. Facebook now, it's really great to just ask a question.
Yep.
Don't post a video, just ask a question. Facebook Reels are doing really well. YouTube Shorts do well. TikTok does well. But, back to the most important thing is that when you go down the tactics and you start talking about the algorithm, it gets people away from what's the most important. And all we're talking about is internet storytelling.
Yep.
Audio, video, words, and images. And the better that I can get at that, it doesn't matter what the platform is. If it's Medium, if it's Reddit, if it's Twitter, if it's our website. What's crazy to me and anybody that's listening to this show is please go fix your website. Please care about your website because your website is literally the thing that you own. As much as I talk about social media, the amount of people that will post on Instagram, post on Facebook, post on TikTok, but not update their website, like that is your search engine hub. That is the place that when people Google your name, that's hopefully where they're going to come to.
Yep.
Is your website.
Yeah. So you're at a ball game.
Yep.
Or a concert.
Yep.
Something cool's happening. Are you watching it through your phone or are you just watching it?
Watching it through my phone. Not through my phone. So part of what I do is capture micro moments. I've gotten so good at smartphone storytelling that I can understand that I want to be present at the game. If I go, Snapdragon Stadium, both Everbowl and Cali Barbecue were fortunate to be in Snapdragon Stadium. About 3 football games in, I took my wife, my son, my daughter to the game. Now, this was the first time for them going to the stadium to have Cali Barbecue and to enjoy an Aztecs game. For me, I wanted to enjoy being there with them, but I also wanted to document it. So I would take micro 2-second, 3-second clips of me walking with my daughter into the stadium, us being at the tailgate, us ordering from Cali Barbecue and seeing Cali Barbecue for the first time, my wife trying the pulled pork nachos, and then my daughter cheering in the aisle, jumping up and down when the Aztecs score. And then that whole process took me a minute and a half. Yet now I have a micro video that's stitched together that I can share with our community, the people that follow me, of something that was very magical. And I don't care if anybody sees it. Mm-hmm. I care as a dad that that's a moment that I have as a dad that I can remember and look back on.
It's great. That's great. So I have one last question for you. What's the best thing to order at Cali Barbecue?
Tailgater.
What is it?
Tailgater is the problem with most barbecue brands is that they withhold the most expensive items. So they'll make a combo plate, but they won't put the ribs on or the brisket on. We created a family-style meal that gives all of the meats. So it's slow-smoked brisket, ribs, tri-tip, pulled pork, rib tips, mac and cheese, wedding beans, potato salad, coleslaw, and jalapeno cheddar cornbread. Feeds 5 people, takes care of everything. That way, when people come, they can enjoy it. And then if they come back and somebody really likes brisket, they can just get brisket.
Sounds delicious.
Not bad.
So for those who are listening who are curious, that want to get involved and want to ask for help, how do they ask you for help? How do they reach you?
Easy. Go on the internet at Shawn P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. That's on all the social handles. I stole this from Ryan Reynolds. I'm weirdly available.
You're weirdly available. Well, you heard it here. Another successful, badass restaurateur, media host, podcast host, digital renegade, if you will. Someone who's helping inspire everyone to get more present, be curious, get involved, and ask for help. Thanks for coming on, Shawn.
Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone. First, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you guys haven't heard about my new book, Relationship Bank Account, click the link in the show notes or search the title on Amazon. This book is packed with all my secrets to success in both relationships and life. Make sure to pick up a copy, and if the book helps you on your journey, let us know by leaving a review. I appreciate all of you and can't wait to see you on the next one.